Hi guys, today's lesson is 9.9, Symmetry and Reflections. You need to have your notebook out so you can take some notes. It's not very long, but there is some important stuff that you need to know. So, here is some key vocab. First, you have reflectional symmetry. So, if a figure has reflectional symmetry, one half is a mirror image of the other half. So if you look down at this butterfly, I could cut the butterfly in half and both sides look exactly the same. They're mirror images of each other. The line of symmetry is your second word, and that divides a figure with reflectional symmetry into two congruent halves, which means two halves that are exactly the same. So this butterfly has reflectional symmetry because I can draw a line down the middle and it cuts it completely in half. So those are your two key vocab. Now, how you're going to see this is they will say, find all the lines of symmetry in these figures. So here is a stop sign. Now, this stop sign is a regular octagon, has 8 sides, and that kind of gives you a hint into the lines of symmetry. When they ask you to draw lines of symmetry, I want to cut it in half. So I could draw a line here that cuts it directly in half. I could draw a line here. Those are my two obvious ones. Now you need to look and say, okay, I can also do here. I can do here. Okay, so that works. Now there is more options here. Now go from one point to the other point, and if I start here and go to this point, that is a line of symmetry. This is also a line of symmetry. This is a line of symmetry, and this. So after I drew all my lines, what I do is I count how many I have. So I'm going to start here, and that's one line of symmetry, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't count this last one right here because that's already counted. It's number 1. And then they all just repeat it themselves. So if I ask you to find all the lines of symmetry of this stop sign, you would say, you would draw them out, and then you would say there are 8 lines of symmetry. 8 lines of symmetry. All right, next is this snowflake. So with this snowflake, I'm going to start drawing my lines of symmetry, and I always go down the middle. I can also do here and here. So now I have 3 already. Now, you have to look and see if you can do in the middle of the figure. So if I go from here, does that cut that snowflake in half? And yes, because I could fold it on top of each other and it would still work. So 1 and 1. So now if I count these, I'll start here. This is one line of symmetry. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I don't count this one again because it is with 1. So this has 6 lines of symmetry. All right, next we have some more key vocabulary, and this is reflections. So we have a line of symmetry and we have a line of reflection. They're two totally different things, but they are very similar. A reflection is a transformation that flips a figure over a line of reflection. A line of reflection is drawn and then a figure flips over it. The reflected figure or image is congruent to the original figure. So if you remember the butterfly, if I had this butterfly, okay, the line of symmetry cut it completely in half. So on one side of my figure, I only had half of my image. I only had half. Now, a line of reflection, if you look at the Eiffel Tower, the line of reflection doesn't do anything to the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower is still here, okay? It just makes it almost double. You have two Eiffel Towers in a line of reflection. You're reflecting the image over a specific line. So there's where the difference is. If I can cut it in half, it's a line of symmetry. If I can double it, it's a line of reflection. Now, what they're going to ask you to do is to take an image and reflect it over a certain line. So one way to do it is a reflection over an axis. So they might say over the y-axis or over the x-axis. Now, here's an example. It says, graph the image of ABC. So I want to graph the image of ABC after a reflection over the y-axis. So that is my key point right there, y-axis. So I highlighted the y-axis, and I have my shape. I'm going to highlight that in purple. So I have A, B, C. Now, how you do this is you have to do each point separately. So I'm going to start with point A. And I count how many spaces it is to get to the y-axis. And then you go an equal amount, so then I have, and then I keep an equal amount to my next space, my next letter A, which is A prime. And you need to make sure you have that tick mark to represent that is your image of A as it's reflected over the y-axis. So you do that for each point. So here's C, and C is at -2, 1, 2. So I count 2 spaces, and then I keep going 2 spaces more, and now I have C prime. Now B, I have here, which is at 3, and I go 3 spaces, 2, 3, and then I go 3 more, and now I have B prime. So then I can connect those dots, and I have my new image, which has been reflected over the y-axis. Since A is, now I'm just going to read this on the side. Since A is 4 units to the left of the y-axis, A prime is 4 units to the right of the y-axis. Okay, so let's try one. So it says graph the image over the x-axis. So I like to highlight what I'm graphing over, so that's the x-axis. Okay, so now I'm going to start with, let's start with D. So with D, I'm going to go to your axis that you're reflecting over. So it is at, this is at point 3. There's 2, there's 1. So here's 1, -2, -3, -1, -2, -3. So I'm going to go down 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. So I went down 3. And then I'm going to go 3 more. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to make a dot. This is D prime. So I went 3 to get to my x, and I'm reflecting it over 3. So it's an equal distance away from x. Now if I do T, I go down 1 on T, and I go down 1 on T, and that is T prime. And then I'm going to do E, which is at 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to go 1, 2 spaces down, and that's E prime. And then what you do is you connect your dots, and you have a brand new figure. Now this new triangle that I just drew, so it's right here, this triangle is the image of DTE reflected over the x-axis. And that's it. That's all you have to do for that. Now, what else they might do is they will want you to reflect it over a line. So you'll have to remember how to graph lines where it says x equals or y equals. So one thing you might want to put in your note is if you have y equals 2. So let's pretend that is the line they want you to graph over. If you have y equals 2, you have to remember it goes through 2 on the y-axis. So this is the y-axis, and my line goes through 2 on the y-axis. So it would look like that. This one, they want me to do x equals 1. So if I were to graph it, it would go through the x-axis at 1. It goes through the x-axis at 1. So then it looks like that. So I'm going to draw my line. Okay, we'll use red. Draw my line over the x-axis at 1. So here's the x-axis, and here's 1. I'm going to draw a line just like this. And now I need to reflect that image over that red line. So I'm just going to start with 1 point. I'm going to start with M. M is 1 unit away. So I go 1 more unit, and now I have M prime. J is 2 units from this red line. So I'm going to go 2 this way, and that is J prime. And then I have L, and L is 1, 2, 3. So then I go 1, 2, 3, and that is L prime. And then I have K, and K is 1, 2, 3, 4. So then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is K prime. Now I connect my dots, L, M, J, and K, and I have reflected that shape, that quadrilateral, over this x equals 1 line. And then you're done. All right, that's it for today. So that's all your notes. Make sure you come prepared for class tomorrow.